Hey, quick warning. There are some mild story spoilers for the beginning hours of The Last of Us Part 2 in this episode. You guys should be good for about the first 40 minutes, then we'll give you a little buffer to skip ahead to where it's safe. So thanks for listening and enjoy. Welcome everybody to Till Death Do We Play, where marriage and video games are the perfect union. So every episode, we're going to talk current topics in the gaming industry, either new games, announcements, or just gaming news, and see if our opinions get along as well as we do. So I'm Andy, and I'm joined by my wife, Allie.
Hello.
And guess what? We both love games. We're always talking about them, and since we're always talking about them, we figured we would just hit record. So we're going to do this and see what happens. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize you needed my approval for that. Yes.
I don't need your I don't need your approval for anything. No, that's not true.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. So, yeah, Allie, this is we're riffing off each other. We're doing a marital podcast.
Oh boy.
Okay. So, let's just get into it and see what happens.
All right, so the big topic for this week, the game that quite a few people have been waiting for, The Last of Us Part 2, finally released this Friday. At the time of this recording, that's yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's been a pretty interesting launch, pre-launch.
I think so.
Yes,
yeah.
to both.
Yeah, no, definitely, because this game had some problems with spoilers because people suck, and I luckily haven't had anything spoiled for me, and we just started playing this last night because we're not like the fancy game journalists who get things early and stuff like that. So what we decided to do was kind of make like a two-part episode where we're going to give our initial first impressions on roughly about the first 3 hours of the game I think we both played through. And then we're going to go and finish the game and come back and do kind of like a more spoiler-filled, deeper analysis of everything. But this episode is just kind of talking about The Last of Us Part 2.
Well, maybe not spoiler Phil, because I thought we're also going to be doing this for each game that we play.
Yeah. And we probably will even get into some spoilers this time around, just for the earlier parts of the game.
So I guess first and foremost, wow, that like, what was it, like month or 2 months before launch when the leaks first came out?
Yeah. And
oh boy.
I don't really know anything about how that happened because I really loved The Last of Us, the first Last of Us. So once I heard something that like huge leaks happened, I like shut myself off from like comments, any hashtags or anything like that. Like I just completely blinded myself till this game came out, and I've been lucky so far because nothing's gotten spoiled for me. But yeah, that was really unfortunate that happened to Naughty Dog.
I don't know, like for me, when it comes to spoilers in general, they don't usually bother me for the most part. Yeah. So I was still like, oh well, you know, what's going on? Like, how bad was the spoilers? And then there came the whole thing where Sony started issuing DMCAs against it. Anybody who was even like remotely talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I don't know how I feel about that because like on one area, it's like, I think it's justified, but on the other area, on the other hand, it seems like it was overkill because wasn't there something where they like DMC'd themselves by accident?
So, yes. So, typically I would agree with you. Like if there are videos or in general, terrible things that people are putting out there where it's just, here are the spoilers, under hidden titles that some people like to do, kind of like when it comes to kids and how they used to watch Minecraft, all of a sudden there's like a jump scare or it's entirely creepy, like things like that. I'm fully for, you know, DMCing or whatever it is, but they went a little extra with it. I'd actually say a lot extra in that apparently they were issuing it to people YouTubers and all that who had just mentioned that a leak had happened, kind of like they were doing an excessive cleanup crew attempt, and it was just perhaps the worst thing to do, because of course if you try and stop people from talking about something, well, that just makes them want to talk all the more.
Yeah, and like what you're saying is how they were issuing it to YouTubers. It's like they weren't even telling about the leaks. It was just like someone uploading a news video of like the leaks happened. So it's like they were trying to silence like the news that it happened to like stop the further spread of it, which, you know, it's like once it's out, it's out. You know, you just kind of gotta roll with it.
You just have to do cleanup crew from that.
Not to get sidetracked, but could you think of off the top of your head like probably like the worst thing that's gotten spoiled for you when it came to games?
The worst thing that's gotten spoiled for me?
Yeah.
Honestly, probably this, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty major plot device that, well, not plot device, but plot point. Mm-hmm. But it happened so early in the game that it seems really insignificant in the long run. Like,
yeah, there's a lot
within the
more
first 3 hours. Yeah, there you go. It happened. Move on from there. They made it seem almost like this thing that happens like near end game level. Like this is the climax of the game. And I don't know if maybe it initially was, and perhaps they had to do some switching of things around. But that's just complete and utter speculation. Right now, it kind of seems like it was an overreaction.
Yeah, and that's a good topic there. That's a good, you know, thing to come back to after we finish the game, is to see if you know, something like that could have been switched around, because, well, you know, I want to talk a lot more about that specific thing, but I feel like that's getting into spoiler territory really fast. But I was going to say, for the only thing that sticks out for me is like this, maybe I worded that wrong. Maybe not like the worst spoiler, but like the stupidest way you got spoiled. Because I remember when LA Noire came out I was playing it on the 360 and I was looking up how to get a specific achievement. And one of the comments were like, all you got to do is just go here, do this, talk to this person, and then you're well on your way to blank, spoiler. And it was like a setup, and like it was just a complete setup. And I was reading like a comment on an achievement guide, and I was like, wow, this whole game just got spoiled for me just because of some idiot. So I don't know, a spoiler is a really touchy thing for me, but like you said, you're kind of desensitized to spoilers, because like whenever I'm playing a game or something like that, or something happens, I'm always like, and then this, well, I don't want to spoil it. And you're like, I don't care, Andy, tell me. And then I just kind of, you know.
Because I view it where, you know, obviously you want certain points in your story to have a punch. And at least in my own experiences, if your story has been leading up and it's been doing a good job of what it's supposed to do, of keeping you invested, then the punch is still there. You still are able to feel emotional impact by what's happening. One thing that actually annoys me when I'm playing a game is when I know that something is being hidden, or I want to know what happens next, but then I become so focused on finding out what happens next that I miss out on side details or just things that might not seem as important. It's kind of like once I know there is this thing that's happening, I can focus more on what's going on around me, and I can enjoy the environment more.
I think that's good for this particular game, because even it was unfortunate that something got spoiled for you. Like you said, it happened really early on in the game. So like if that didn't happen early on and you had that in your head, like you knew that it was coming and you were waiting for it and everything like that, it really would have changed this game. Like you mentioned, like not being able to focus on the little details, because this game has so many little details and everything. I feel like if anything, like if that particular event had to get spoiled for you, I'm glad that you're past it already, so you could actually try to appreciate everything else in it. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe we'll talk about where the game starts, where it picks up, and our experience with the first couple hours of it. So yeah. So right off the bat, one thing I want to say, when you put the game in, you don't hit new game or anything like that. It pops up and it says, it gives you all those options, which I thought was really cool, just to get that out of the way. Like, I always go for, putting on subtitles, inverting my y-axis, which everyone hates. But I was really happy that I didn't have to sit through like the first couple minutes of gameplay or like watch an intro cutscene without having things the way I want. Plus, they also have a ton of accessibility options that we saw. That's getting a lot of news trending lately. Like, I guess it's, has the most options for people with accessibility needs. So I thought it was really cool. I think it was a smart move on their part to just get that stuff out of the way before the game even starts. I thought it was really cool. But
one thing I think, just because of the nature of the game, because it does seem to be more of a narrative driven, it's almost an interactive story for the most part. I feel like it's a game that can get away with it. It can say, listen, when it comes right down to it, we're looking to tell a story more so than anything else.
Yeah. And for people who know The Last of Us, like, it's, it's a third, I guess they would classify it as like a third person action game, but it's really like a stealth horror game. And when you're actually encountering enemies in this game, it's kind of a big deal because like I wouldn't say it's few and far between, but it's definitely like not the entire game. Like you said, it's an interactive story. And when you said that, something popped in my mind is, I don't know if you saw this yet, but if you go back to the main menu, you could go to like specific chapters and stuff and replay them. But they also have a section for encounters. That's how, like, I guess, significant the encounters are in this game, or like how little you really deal with that kind of stuff, or at least what I've seen so far, is they actually have pinpointed parts of the game where you're encountering the infected. So it's like you could go back to just the specific fights that you were in, which I thought that was pretty interesting. I never saw something like that in a game before. That's like, I mean, like boss battle modes. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but yeah, I feel like cool.
People who are very into Dark Souls would probably be irked by that.
Yeah.
As far as like the whole get good mentality. I know they're like, especially in Dark Souls, there's the whole belief of some people saying that Dark Souls need an easy mode, and other people saying if there was an easy mode, then they wouldn't be getting the Dark Souls experience, quote unquote. So I feel like some people are going to love this because it provides another level of accessibility. And just in general, I want to try and sneak through this area? Or what would happen if I just go in guns a-blazing, even if that's not something that they wanted to do through their story run?
Yeah.
And I think other people will view that as kind of like a cop-out. So, I don't know. I definitely think it's good and follows their whole accessibility mentality that they provided at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But, I also don't really think it's something that every game is capable of mimicking. But I am glad that Naughty Dog put this in their game, even if it doesn't affect me. I know that there are other people who are out there that want to play it, and now they can.
Yeah, like, I don't know, thinking back to it now, like, I think it's a really cool feature, but I honestly, for me, this game isn't about the encounters. I mean, sure, they're like the really tense moments and everything like that, but that's not something that I want to try to go back to and like speed run or see anything else, But I mean, it's just cool that they thought of it to add that in. So yeah, after you get all that stuff out of the way, the game starts, and it's pretty cool. It explains kind of what happened after the original Last of Us, and I never, I'll be honest, I love the first one. We got it for PS4, and I always I played it on PS3, and we got it for PS4, and I always wanted to go back to it, but I never had time to before this came out. Because I always want to play the DLC, and I never played the DLC for the first one. But, and I don't know, I can't even remember where the DLC takes place and everything. I know that there's like a girl with Ellie and
her name is Riley.
Yeah.
The DLC, I believe, is kind of just Ellie getting to know Riley. I think it's the first thing that kind of touches on Ellie's sexuality. And I believe it also is the moment where Ellie is bitten and it is discovered that she is immune.
Okay, so it takes place before she meets Joel. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So what was the point? Oh yeah. Well, I was basically going to say when The Last of Us 2 starts, it explains what happened after the first one, where Joel is just recapping things with his brother Tommy. They're out on a patrol, and he's saying that they did make it to the Fireflies. They were going to create a cure for Ellie, like with Ellie's blood, but he explained they didn't really say too much. He basically just said they can make a cure, but it's going to kill her. So
yeah, because her cure, I think, was actually like part of her brain or something. Like I think it had to do something with her brain and then basically removing it.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't explained. And like for me, it seemed, yeah, I mean, there were surgeons there with scalpels and stuff, but like
it was reversed zombieism.
When I think of a cure for something, I always think of like take some blood, figure out what's in the blood, make something else. I didn't realize it was like it's in the brain, but you know,
yeah. It was the weirdest thing. Like I played this game a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think when it first came out, and I just remember thinking, what? I mean, all right, but what?
Yeah. But yeah, so they do a quick little thing. You know, Joel goes like crazy and kills everybody and steals Ellie back, and they find their way to their new establishment, I guess, in Jackson, in Montana, right?
You say crazy, I say badass.
Yeah, no, it was cool. But I mean, they didn't really show it. It was kind of just like a really quick cut edit. Like he took care of things and he got her out of there. Oh my God, I love Joel so much. But yeah. Anyway, so they kind of imply that Ellie realizes something happened. Joel says that he told her that they couldn't really do anything. Her immunity doesn't mean anything. But they have this other scene where it seems really recent after everything that happened. Oh, you know what? Because like,
well, the whole thing at the end of The Last of Us, the intro really is just recap. This is what happens at the end for the people who didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Ellie pretty much can put two and two together and find out that Joel is basically lying to her. She doesn't say otherwise, but from her actions, from her expressions, you can tell she thinks he's lying. And she's not wrong.
Yeah, that is how if I remember correctly, because like you said, it's been like 6 years since we've played this game, that you do play through that part in The Last of Us, don't you? Like
yeah, you play through the whole thing.
Yeah.
You run into these surgeons. They tell you we're not going to let you take her.
And that's how it ends.
And Joel just destroys them. And the leader of the Firefly, who had initially tasked you with delivering Ellie, he just blows her up and then drives away.
Yeah, that's the good thing you guys will find out about Allie, not Ellie. Allie is she. I don't know. You have such a remarkable ability for just remembering details. Like I loved that game when I played it, and I could talk about it and everything like that. But it's been years, and I just don't remember those type of things, you know. And you like. When we met in college, I remember we were playing Final Fantasy, and I was like, oh, Final Fantasy X. And I was like, oh, yeah, I played this in high school. And you were like, yeah, I love the things that you do, blah, blah, blah. And I can't even repeat what you said because I can't remember it. But you just like know all this stuff, and it just sticks with you. I wish
only I could do the same thing in real life.
I wish I had that. But yeah, so that was essentially just a recap, and you're going back. And afterwards, there is a quick little scene. So I think they get to Jackson relatively early because Ellie is still young, and Joel tries to come in and kind of like talk to her. She kind of seems out of it. Like she doesn't want to really be bothered.
Well, the whole thing with Jackson is you actually run into that encampment in the first game. Yeah.
So I remember Tommy.
Joel actually says, you know, we could just stay here. And I believe Ellie says, no, I need to have my immunity mean something. Mm-hmm. And at in the end of The Last of Us, the first part, he is just driving back. And that is, you know, they're happy ending.
They're happy ending, but you could tell that Ellie feels really defeated and everything. So, but yeah, so the game sets it up like their new life in Jackson, and Joel is trying to connect with Ellie, and then boom, it's time skip. So Ellie's older. They don't really explain everything going on there, but it's just kind of like they're kind of like thriving. They know what they're doing. It's kind of like, I see a lot of resemblances, and I know people don't really like this anymore, but The Walking Dead, it's like there's a skip in The Walking Dead where like they really get their crap together and they know how to handle everything. And that's really what I see in Jackson. It's like, it's kind of like a new world vibe.
It's very frontier-like. It has a very not every single, but the majority of Western set games, like old Wild West, it has a very frontier man taking over nature kind of vibe to it, to where even I'm going to just say it's a saloon. I don't know if they're like officially have it as a restaurant or something. Yeah. Everything just oozes Western frontier town.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like you wouldn't really find that kind of stuff in cities today. Like I feel like Jackson, if it, it was definitely built upon, but it wasn't like a pre-existing Western town, but that's definitely what the vibe that it gives off is now. Yeah. I don't know, who knows, maybe that was just like a bar that was converted. I mean, there's bars like that. I don't know. But
yeah, I don't really remember what it looked like in the first game, but you can definitely tell, like, once again, it's a Western-esque. It has Western-esque vibes to it.
Yeah. And I mean that makes sense. It's in the Midwest. It's kind of like an old world feel, but they all still have like modern
TVs,
they have flash.
Yeah,
they have that Jak and Daxter Easter egg, which I really loved seeing.
They do.
Anyways, yeah. And so yeah, Ellie is definitely just kind of part of this commune. She gets up and does her job. The game starts. You're not playing as Joel anymore. You're playing as Ellie. She's an 18-year-old. She's going out on a patrol. And that's kind of where the game kicks off on like tutorials and stuff. I thought it was pretty interesting. It was kind of cheesy when they showed you how to shoot and throw and stuff when you were doing a snowball fight with the kids. I mean, I thought that was cute. Yeah. But yeah, they have little things like that. Really walking through the town. It's just, you getting your bearings, seeing these like characters that are going to be playing a bigger role and everything like that. Just explaining everything to you. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it does a good job of showing that Ellie and Joel, to an extent, definitely are an important and valued part of the community. I thought it was interesting how from when they had shown it was it E3 that they showed it?
Probably.
The Last of Us with the dance and everything, and Ellie kissing that girl.
It was either E3 or the Game Awards. That's usually where they do that stuff.
I thought it was very interesting how what that essentially was the day before the events in The Last of Us Part 2. Because the really first thing that Ellie says is, she kissed me, I didn't kiss her, everybody was watching, and then you realize, it was what they showed I'm just going to assume it was E3.
Yeah, I would just say at that press conference.
At that press conference with that showing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't even put that together. The way it comes out is when you're playing as Ellie, you start off and someone comes to your house, and Jesse, he comes to your house and says you're like running late, you got to get going, get to work, and Ellie
bursting out of Ellie's mouth. Yeah. No, he says. So I heard you had started a bit of a commotion last night. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dina kissed me. I didn't kiss her. And he just goes, I was talking about a fight. What?
Yeah. So that's definitely a big part of the game is, I mean, I wouldn't say a big part of the game just because we're still new in the game. We don't really know everything else about it. But like right off the bat, there was some confrontation. Ellie punched someone because they said something about her because she kissed another girl.
Sexuality.
Yeah. So you're actually like the tutorial not really like the intro of that whole segment with Ellie going to the stables to go on patrol is like resolving the issues of the night before. She doesn't really want to, but she ends up doing it.
It's a very slice of life type vibe.
Yeah.
It's very, I don't want to say almost forced with how it is. It just seems really out of all the, you know what? I would actually say it might be a good way to show that despite the infected and standard concerns that they would have with survival, they're still able to maintain some sort of I'm trying to think of the good word to use this. It's
Yeah, like there's like they've gotten so good at handling the infected, and
they're able to worry about issues like this.
Yeah.
Or make it a big deal. And I still don't think it's necessary. It's a very first world problem.
Exactly.
I'd say.
I wouldn't worry about any of that stuff. There's things out in the world trying to kill us, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, that stuff doesn't, you know, it's a very old world mentality to begin with, which is in this game, it's presented by an old man. So
he has so few things he needs to worry about. He has to worry about this teenager kissing another girl.
Yeah, I know.
And
it's like, get over it. Just make your sandwiches.
I feel like it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I feel like it was very extra.
Yeah, but you know what? Like you said, it's an interesting way to show that they're dealing with other problems. Like Ellie, on top of everything else going on, Ellie has to deal with this. She's just trying to get through everything, and she has to deal with people who are judging her. And I get the kind of vibe from Ellie that like she's kind of like antisocial and she's anxious. Like she just seems like she doesn't really get along with a lot of people, or she has like trouble connecting with people. So to be kind of at the center of attention like that, you could tell that it's definitely getting to her. So
I didn't get that vibe from her at all.
Really? I don't know. It just seems she just seems very reserved, and I don't know. To me, it comes off like she, you know, I
don't think so. I think she's. It's not that she knows who she is. I just really don't think in the end she really cares all that much about that. I mean, I know you can look in her journal, and at one point she clearly likes Dina, the girl who kissed her. Yeah. But they're already friends, and she doesn't want to ruin that standard, typical teenage BS.
Yeah.
But when it comes to other people in the community, I really don't think she cares. I really don't.
I mean, I can see that.
Because if she did, I don't think she would have reacted the way she did to the kiss. Right away, just as someone who is very antisocial and everything, as soon as I see someone else coming towards me, I'd be like, nope.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she wasn't, did she punch Seth? Because she also said Joel punched him.
No, Joel did. Yeah. She pushed him, I believe, and Joel just straight up, no, she didn't even push him. Joel just came up and decked him.
After he said that, yep. Yeah, that's what happened. God, we played this yesterday, and I'm having trouble remembering. So after you do everything with Ellie, the game switches over, and you're as a new girl. You're as Abby. You know,
she's buff.
Yeah, she's very thick, and
she's got like literally 4 Fs on the buff factor and 3 Cs in the thick factor.
Yeah. The way it presents itself is, you know, not knowing anything about the game, it was really, I was curious to see what was going on, because it's the dead of night. You're following your buddy in the snow. You guys end up seeing Jackson. There's some more like, you know, tutorial stuff thrown in there, whatever. But you're over a cliff and you're overlooking Jackson. And the first thought to my mind was like, oh, these people are like, oh, maybe we could live here and stuff. But then it's like it switches very ominous really quickly. And they're like, maybe he's there. Oh,
yeah, it's a very quick turnaround. They're here to hunt someone.
Yeah. And you could only assume it's Joel, you know, because like, who else? It's not like they're looking for Jesse or anything. But so it was very weird that they had you. I mean, I think it was a really cool move that they had you play as this person, and then you find out that you probably aren't going to like this person, you know?
I don't know if I'd say it was cool. I feel like it was very much the one thing when it comes to The Last of Us in general is, or honestly, when it comes down to it, Naughty Dog games in general, they feel almost like they want to create movies with what they do.
Oh, yeah.
And this feels like very much now this is the villain's show of what they're doing while the hero is doing their own thing. So I don't know if I necessarily liked it. I think it was an opportunity to show that Abby is a person with her own life going on, but
Like
I don't know. I feel like
like trying to show that they have their own intentions, their own reasons for doing things, and
well, I think it was done specifically so that people would start to develop a slight emotional attachment to them, because people tend to do that when they play as a character's perspective.
If that was their intention, it crumbled as soon as I realized that these are probably going to be the bad guys, or they more than likely are the bad guys, you know?
Yeah, like the whole thing where she's talking to the guy and you can tell they had something going on, but he's with another girl.
He got Mel pregnant, and she was mad about that.
Pregnant.
Mel's, I don't want to go down there. Why? Mel's pregnant. Oh.
We got to start thinking about the future.
My baby.
I feel like that could have just been a cutscene, like how most games do it. I don't think it was necessary. They're probably going to touch on it later on.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right.
You know, I guess maybe games 5-6 years ago, it would be like you playing as Ellie in the Jackson and everything like that going off. And then, like you said, like cutting to a cutscene of two people walking over a hill, looking at it, saying, there it is. I wonder if he's going to be there. All right. Mel's pregnant. Oh, what? Oh, and then it storms off. And then it's like,
I don't even think that's necessary.
No,
I just think it could have been. That's literally a point where it's just like, do you really need to do this? Yeah. Like it's literally just, here's an emotional attachment to some randos.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was interesting. It was the first time, you know, I mean, the first Last of Us had you play as Joel, and then there was a segment as Ellie. So this was kind of a curveball for me, but, that kind of comes back to bite you later on. So I don't know. We're at about the 40-minute mark here. I don't know if it's going to be the same when we cut it down, but should we roll into the spoiler territory of what we've experienced so far?
Well, we kind of already have.
Yeah. So paths cross, because the girl, Abby, she tries to go out. Nobody wants to follow her to Jackson, so she tries to go do it on her own. She runs into...
She does an amazing job. Can I just say that first and foremost?
What?
Oh my God. Abby is badass.
Really? Yeah, I think so.
She literally got up, like right before dawn, because it's dark. She falls down. She hand-to-hand combat destroys like 5 infected, just decking them.
Yeah.
And when she stealth kills someone, everyone else uses these weapons, and she just like, nah.
She
takes them with one arm and just snaps their neck with her bicep.
Yeah, she puts them in a headlock and just
intense.
flexes. She just flexes with them in a headlock, and they're dead.
She is like goals for me when it comes to sheer strength.
Yeah. I was kind of happy though when it switched back to Ellie and she just goes like, and like puts a knife in them, because Abby's stealth kill is like 15 seconds of her brutalizing someone. She's just like, stay down. And like, I don't know, but it was brutal, and it was really cool to see. But yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'd say until the game really opens up, until the serious plot points happen, you're probably playing as Abby like half, if not a little more of the time than you're playing as Ellie.
Yeah, I guess like before you get to the one spoiler for me.
Oh yeah, no, because there's also the supermarket, and that's a pretty big scene for Ellie and Dina like fighting and everything like that. Like I'm thinking like as far as like fighting, but you know both characters have really two very big encounters.
The one thing that was also super interesting when you play as Ellie and, well, first as you play as Abby, because you don't run into infected first with Ellie. I believe you first run into them with Abby.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Like you do run into them with Abby. Yeah.
And they do a very interesting thing in that they kind of show each woman's capabilities when it comes to their own physical prowess in regards to how Abby can just snap a neck with one arm, but meanwhile, Ellie does need to use a knife. And the way that the characters appear, their overall physical muscle masses and everything, it kind of helps reinforce that the gameplay helps reinforce that they go about things very differently.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, like a classic 80s movie, like underdog thing. Like this little guy has this huge opponent, and she's kind of like the counter to Ellie, like where Ellie's like this stealthy little, sneaky thing. Abby kind of seems like a brute,
Oh yeah, she's imposing. I won't lie. That's why I said the first thing I noticed about her was she looks like she could kill a grown man with her bare hands.
Yeah. I thought when I first saw her, I couldn't remember what Joel's daughter's name was for the first game, but I really thought she was like, I heard a lot of critics say that the writing was bad. I haven't felt that entirely. I felt some parts could have been written better, but I really thought that there was going to be a twist where Abby was going to come to Joel and be like, "It's me, your daughter. I survived." And like, I don't know. But thankfully,
I'm here because you abandoned me.
Yeah, thankfully that doesn't seem like the case. I still don't know what Joel's daughter. I can't remember what his daughter's name is. So maybe she is, but no.
No, she was not. Shot up real good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she.
Oh, that's
don't
right.
You worry.
She got shot.
She was torn apart.
Yeah.
By bullets.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing, because you had mentioned bad writing, right now I definitely do think we're still too early on to where we can really vouch for that one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But you can definitely see that there are places where I feel like the writing just lingered longer than necessary. Mostly Ellie's romance in the very beginning. Like, personally for me, I don't mind romances in my RPG games where I can pick the person that my character ends up with. But in any game like Prince of Persia, Final Fantasy, even Uncharted itself, romances between characters where I have absolutely no say in the matter makes me cringe.
Yeah.
So a good portion of Ellie's scene just makes me cringe.
It's it's going back to how you said Naughty Dog, they're not just making a game here. They're basically making a movie and telling a story. And it's one thing if you're watching a movie with like characters romancing, but if they're forcing you to play through the movie and you don't want to interact with this kind of stuff, it could definitely get to you.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that about the whole lesbian portion of that. That's genuinely none of my concern. It's literally romances in general.
Yeah.
They just make me go, all right, is this really needed? Do I need to see this?
For me,
Put your pants back on.
For me, like, it's the same thing. I have no issues with anything like that. It's the corny dialogue. It's like,
oh, it's so corny.
Them sitting on the couch, like,
there's a reason why those scenes are private.
Like, from one to life altering, how good was our kiss? I'm like, please just kill some clickers. I don't know.
I'm just like, can you just say it was so you can move on? It's like, I don't know, it was I guess.
Yeah. Yes, I guess that's the only problem is, games could have groundbreaking writing, but I could still find something that I think is cheesy.
Yeah, and I think I can kind of see it really does feel like a movie in regards to, you can already see what I believe the whole plot is going to be. I'm assuming it's pretty much just a revenge quest. And, obviously we have to play through it, but if I play through it and I turn out to be correct, I'm won't lie, I'm going to be a little disappointed because The Last of Us, the first part it had a very good story. It was very emotional for me, especially at the beginning. Oh my goodness, with Joel's daughter.
Yeah, where The Last of Us 2 is more, it seems like it's leaning towards, you have a one-track mind. You want a revenge. You want to go and deal this. Like The Last of Us 1 was really about this guy who went through some serious stuff, like building a connection with the person that he cares about. And I think that carries a lot more weight than what we're seeing right now in The Last of Us 2.
Even in the first part of part 2, you can see this is all being set up for a crash early on in the game. Everything is too perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
The community, even with Ellie being a lesbian, the first thing that happens with the bigot is he says he's sorry. The community itself the leader of the community makes him say he's sorry. It ends in a very, let bygones be bygones kind of way that after how many times she calls him a bigot.
Satisfactory way. It's like life is carrying on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the fact that she does get to go on patrol with the girl that she has a clear and blatant crush on. The fact that they do, end up pretty much becoming a couple, even if it's like an unofficial thing. They get the whole physical deeds done. It's all too perfect. Mm-hmm. So you can just tell it's going to come crashing down way before even the midpoint of the game. And sure enough, that's the exact thing that happens.
Okay, so we're about to get into the heavy stuff of the beginning hours of this game. So if you haven't played this game yet and you want to keep on listening, skip ahead to about the 52-minute mark, and you should be safe there.
So if you don't want to get spoiled, we're going to play some music right now for maybe 3 seconds. 5 seconds. 5 seconds sounds good. You got 5 seconds to skip to whatever part.
Now I got to pick music? Oh, great. Okay, let's see what I pick.
And
Knew this wasn't the right way to go. I care less what to learn than what I know. And I can only see this in my dreams, 'cause the nightmares keep calling me.
all right, so the very first thing that was very interesting about The Last of Us Part 2 is golfing with your friends. I thought that was a very interesting choice to go with the game, especially considering that's a human skull.
BioShock already did it. Come on, Neil Druckmann.
Oh. Come on, get original with your deaths.
Oh my God. It sucks. It sucks.
Sure enough, the first thing that happens, this is why you don't help strangers, guys. This is really the reason why you don't help strangers. Because as soon as you do, especially in the post-apocalypse, especially then, because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to absolutely destroy your leg with a shotgun, and then just practicing their hard strikes with a golf club using your face.
Yeah, so playing as Abby, you run into Joel and Tommy. You escape a huge flood of infected. You end up going back to their safe house, this mansion, which they mentioned was the Baldwin mansion. So I want to know if it was like Alec Baldwin, the actor's mansion. I think that would be. I feel like I heard that he had a mansion in Montana. I want to look that up. But basically, you get back there. Everyone starts ominously looking at you. Joel turns around.
Granted, this mansion, the safe house, is Abby and her friend's safe house, not the Jackson safe house.
So everyone starts ominously looking at them. Joel's like, "Oh, you guys heard of us? Kind of sounds like you guys heard of us." And turns around, bam, his leg is destroyed. Abby shoots him.
And then it's just torture.
It was so hard to watch because I really, my God, going into this game, I just remembered how much I enjoyed Joel as a character from the first one, and just seeing this, it was like, I know that's what they wanted to do with the story, but it's just so heartbreaking. It's like, again, I'm probably one of a few people in the world who still enjoy The Walking Dead, but like it hurts when it's like early seasons of Walking Dead when a beloved character dies to change the tone of the story. I really felt like that, and God, it just sucked.
I won't lie, when he was getting head smacked with the golf club, that was less impactful to me than when he was immediately shot in the leg with the shotgun. Because
like,
when they did the close-up of that, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to want to die after that.
Yeah, and like I had this feeling like he's not getting out of this. Like there's no way. Like it was so brutal. There was like you could see the tendons, and it was like a shark bit him, you know? It was gone.
You know, that kind of reminds me of a bit where they've had like a bit of an article come out about how some studios make their developers actually look at like animals being slaughtered and tortured and like people torture and things like that. And I'm almost wondering if Naughty Dog subjected their developers to that in order to get all the meat and tendon bits, because there's a lot of detail.
Yeah. Oh, God, you know, well, first of all, the timing worked out perfectly because Ellie just happened to be around the corner after, after they were like, they got done in their bunker with her and Dina. Jesse just kind of shows up and he's like, hey, we don't see Joel. Boom, cut. Joel, what's this big house? And like,
I immediately know where he is.
Yeah, she goes downstairs. She's there. She's right there for the final. I mean, there was some confrontation and everything like that, but she basically saw Joel one sliver of like, I don't even want to call it satisfaction because nothing in that scene was satisfactory for me. But like, Joel opened his eyes and he saw Ellie, so he got to see Ellie one more time. You know, who knows? It was like Iron Man at the end of Endgame. You don't know if he was fully there or not, but he saw her. They locked eyes.
I don't think he was. I think he had a lot of brain damage.
Yeah. So God, it's just it's so hard when games like that, like they build a character up, and you know, after The Last of Us 1, you think he's invincible, but you know what? He is an old man, and it's just horrible that he went out like that.
I'm surprised they let Tommy live.
I know he got bludgeoned. I thought he was down. I thought they were just going to keep going at him, but yeah, after that whole thing ended, for some reason they decided not to kill Ellie and just leave her.
Well, the one dude did, but the rest of them were saying no. I think they were just there on revenge for something that Joel did. It's very obvious that Joel did something to anger this group of people.
That's what I'm interested in finding out, is because the locations of all this stuff, you were all over the place in The Last of Us 1. You were in Pittsburgh at one point, and then you were in Jackson, and it's, you know, so I don't know where their paths would have crossed. They're from this WLF organization.
They're from Seattle.
Yeah, they're from Seattle. So like, I don't know where they would have crossed previously, you know, unless there's like flashbacks and things like that. So, which I'm assuming there's going to be. But
right now, I'd say the greatest guess would be that somehow at least Abby, probably the rest of them too, because they all seem like, I'd say they're ex-Firefly.
That's I think the best guess right now. But at the same time, I feel like if they were ex-Firefly, it would be like a cop-out. I kind of want something a little more interesting.
Well, maybe that's why some people are saying the writing could have been better.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. But man, that was a tough scene to get through. It picks back up. Ellie, not a second thought in her head. She's going out. She's going to end this.
And that's where there's automatically a cut. Tommy dipped. He's off on his own revenge thing now. Ellie and Dina are off to Seattle on a horse.
I like what they did with Tommy, though, is because when he first comes to talk to Ellie after Joel dies, he's basically like, we can't do this. We have to do this the right way. Don't plan this stuff out right now. And he's like, Ellie is mad at him because she's like, why aren't you doing something about it? But like, you find out that Tommy is always going to do something about this. He's trying to get Ellie to stay safe. You find out that he just, like you said, he dipped, and he said he wrote a letter to his wife, keep Ellie away. Don't let her come after me. I have to end this. But, you know, she doesn't do that. I thought that was really cool, Tommy. But yeah, and
Yeah, so right after that, next thing you know, Ellie and Dina are in Seattle. Well, outside of Seattle. You have to get
before we talk about that, there's this part in the game where before you leave Jackson where you visit Joel's house, and I really like that. I probably spent like, I don't know, 25, half an hour, walking through Joel's house and seeing, because it really gives you a good idea of the person Joel was. I mean, that he played guitar and he was a good guy, but like walking through his house, like it just,
it's very themed.
Yeah, but you see, like, he came home at night and he worked on wood. You could go over and look at all of his movies and stuff. Like when you're on patrol with Dina, Ellie says that I'm going to watch a movie with Joel tonight. He loves these cheesy 80s action movies, or these like Western movies or whatever. And you see that stuff and you're just thinking about like who this guy was. And it's just like, man, it was like kind of like the nail in the coffin. Like it was just,
I think it helps give him some humanity after the first game, where he was a dad, and then he turned into a very, to an extent cruel. He turned into a very live or die type person, and his house kind of shows that there was more to him than that, between his woodworking.
Like he was at a point. Yeah, like he was at a point in his life where he felt like he could go back to that life, and for whatever happened in the past, whether it be fireflies or something else, for it to catch up to him, it's just even more heartbreaking. But yeah, that was kind of like your last part in Jackson. Then, like you said, it's a hard cut. You're in Seattle, and that's around the time where we both stopped playing. There's some more stuff, like there's one area, it's pretty linear. You're trying to get into this walled off city, but once you do, we're both in this area where it's kind of like a hub, where it seems like the game is first starting to open up, because the game is it has this weird illusion that the game is like open world, but when you're playing the first couple hours of it, it's very linear. Like there's the paths clearly tell you this is the way you have to go. You could go off a little bit and look at a house or anything like that, but no, it's like point A to point B.
Even right now, I'd say the game is incredibly linear.
Yeah.
It's pretty much walking through hallways when it comes down to it.
I'd say like this first part that we did, or this part that we got to, is probably the first area where you could go into multiple directions and explore a little bit more, other than going into a busted up house or camper and opening up shelves. So that'll be interesting. That'll be a little more, I guess, time consuming, trying to go into every little nook and cranny. But out of everything that you've played so far, what do you enjoy about the game?
So right now, my view of the game itself is at like a 5 out of 10 if I was to give it a rating.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm genuinely kind of like this. I enjoy the buildup. I like how they're able to show these two characters from the first game having a moment where they're able to just be people.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't interested at all in Ellie's teenage romance drama.
She's a woman now.
I didn't care for...
She's a full-grown woman.
Oh, she's 18 or 19. Don't you give me that? I don't care for how the world itself looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. The lighting is amazing. There's so much foliage, and there's so much attention to the detail that they put in the houses. Like for Joel's house itself, you can see that it has a nice fixed up look to it, because even on the steps you can see the little peeling of paint in his one out of literally 3 bathrooms. Mm-hmm. He has one room where he has like shampoo, bath, cleaning, and he's got all of his stuff laid out on the tub.
They have
but I
mirrors
hate how
that
linear
work.
It is.
Yeah,
they do. They have mirrors that work.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say for me, it's like the mechanics and the polish of the game. Like everything.
Rope physics.
Yeah, rope physics. Fantastic.
I love the rope physics.
No, it's like there's with how linear the game is, it's very detailed to where if you interact with something, that could actually have like an impact on something later on, or it might just be like a line of dialogue or something. I think it's really neat when you go into a place and you pick up a note with codes on it or something like that. You'll walk out and Dina will be like, find anything in there? And she's like, well, I found a piece of paper with some codes on it. You know, little stuff like that. It's like they take the time to put that into the game. It's really cool. Like there's also one point that we were talking about that I think is really interesting going back and see if you do things differently is when you're going into Seattle, you find a tourist map. And when you get into the more open area that we're in now, you actually pull out that map and you mark where you are. And I was talking to you and I was like, well, what would happen if you just didn't find that map? And you guessed that maybe Dina would be like, hey, I found this map, and you would still get it. But it's just really interesting because it's like you pick that map up and you're thinking, oh, it's just another collectible, but you're using it. Then you're walking around. When you're actually walking around little areas you could explore there, Ellie pulls it out and marks it like as you're walking. And it's like this little side thing that you could have completely missed is now being utilized. I think that's really cool that they do stuff like that.
I can agree.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the guitar thing, I know that like early.
That was neat too.
Yeah. First couple minutes of the game, it utilized the touchpad on the PS4 controller, which I think it's a gimmick, but I think it was really cool actually holding it and strumming it like a little guitar. I know later on there's like a little section where you could actually play freely what you want to play, which I can't wait to get to. Yeah, the little details. I mean, Naughty Dog is famous for that stuff. And all I could say is I just wanted Jak and Daxter, Allie. That's it. I don't know.
That's all I want to from them. Because I don't like. If you had to give it a rating right now, first going into it, what would you give? I've said 5 out of 10.
I don't know. I'd be more generous. Right now, I'd be like an 8. The writing doesn't get to me as much as it's getting to a lot more people. I guess the biggest issue that I have with the game is it's gonna sound weird, but I'm not like a fan of the shooting in The Last of Us. I play it stealthy. When I'm forced to shoot, I always screw up because it just feels slow and clunky. That's something that I don't really like. And I don't want to sound biased or anything like that, but the direction that the story went, I just don't like what they did. You know, I don't like the choices that they've made so far. I wish
you feel like they did Joel dirty.
Yeah, I think I like happy things. So
then this is not the game for you.
No, I'm still gonna play it. I will. But yeah,
I know they had said the first Last of Us game was about love, and this one is now about hate.
Ooh.
And right now, I'm just kind of like, be careful on the edge you have there. You don't want to end up cutting yourself because the whole dark, edgy, gritty thing, I think we've kind of outgrown that for a bit, like back in the mid 2010s. So I know Naughty Dog itself has always enjoyed the being dark and gritty storyline because
ever since Jak 2.
I think they actually said that. Yeah, ever since Jak 2. I like Jak 2, but it was really like the point where
dang dark eco that did it to Neil Druckmann.
The dang dark eco.
You know, one thing too, before we wrap up, another thing I just want to say I really like about Ellie is walking around and like playing as her, collecting things. I like that you could see that she's kind of like a nerd. She likes robots and astronauts and comic books. You could see like she has manga in her room and video games and stuff. I think that gives her some more personality, which I think a lot of people who haven't played the game, who are, I guess you could say, like the IRL bigots, not just the guy who called her a name in the bar, who are having a lot of issues with this game, think that Ellie is just defined by that one character trait. But when you're playing as a game, you see that she has a lot of other stuff going on in her life that she identifies herself by, you know? So I think that's really cool.
I enjoyed quote, enjoyed the homage to the first part where she had this love for jokes
Yeah.
And the one that Dina says is, "Oh, Ellie, I think Shimmer, their horse, is sick." She says, "Why do you say that?" She's like, "She's sounding a little hoarse." And as soon as she said that, Ellie realizes it's a joke. And I just think to myself, shut up, Dina.
Yeah. But that was Ellie the whole game.
I'm like, shut up, Dina.
Yeah.
We are literally in the middle of Seattle. We have no backup. And this horse is literally the only thing that's keeping us from walking the entire time. Do you want me to shank you?
Yeah. Oh, I love Shimmer.
It's probably going to die.
Oh my God. Can we talk about the gate? Remember that?
I was not. Okay. So the only time that this game has currently made me feel anything was there's a part where you have to open the gate for Dina and Shimmer to come through. And while Shimmer is pretty much looking like she's halfway through, the gate stutters and the door slams shut. And I screamed because I thought we were going to have a cut in half horse.
It's a huge
And
gate.
if that-
It's like a 50-foot tall gate too. So yeah, the horse would be obliterated. So
If that happened, I would have turned off my PlayStation. No, I would have stopped the game. I would have deleted it. And then I would have demanded a refund.
yeah. Well, I mean, I bought it. Allie.
As your wife, I
Yeah.
still have say in the refund department.
Yeah. You would make me delete it. And
I would
get a refund.
make you get a refund because I would
We
have just
both,
had none
like,
of that.
I was playing last night in the office and I jumped at that part, and then I was in the room while you were playing it today and you like literally gasped and jumped. I was like, yeah, the same thing. It was just such a weird perspective of that. It looked like the horse was gone. But yeah.
I was not happy. I was actually mad afterwards too. I was mad that they did that.
Yeah.
They caused me that fear.
So it'll be interesting to play through the rest of the game and see, our predictions of things, see how they play out and see if our scores change at all, see if our opinions change on the game. I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy Sony exclusives. I love Naughty Dog. It should be a good time. Regardless of what people are saying, I'm still totally blind on the game. I'm so happy I am. And you got the dark parts out of the way so you could enjoy it too. And
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for The Last of Us. Before we conclude our very first episode of Till Death Do We Play, I think this would be a fun little segment just to quickly go and say what else we're playing, because we're hardly ever playing one game at a time. We're always like splitting up. I personally can't do that. I always used to try to just play a game until I finished it, but I have to split up my time and do stuff. So are you playing anything else right now that I don't know about?
Right now, I have revisited Fire Emblem, the Three Houses, because I have never beaten it. Currently doing the Black Eagles story, and I have a side one too for the Blue Lions. So that's been pretty interesting. And I have also been playing a lot of Deep Rock Galactic, digging some holes and killing bugs.
All right.
And you?
Well, I've been doing some Switch playing too. I've been playing Luigi's Mansion because I haven't finished that yet. I did start Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive on Switch, but I stopped playing that to pick up Luigi's Mansion again because I realized that I never finished it. I'm closer to being done with that. And surprisingly, I've been playing chess. I got really
Yes, you have.
I've been getting really into chess because I got the Clubhouse games on Switch, which has like the 51 worldwide games, and I was like, man, I haven't played chess in years. I'm addicted to it. I've probably played like 200 matches so far.
Oh my goodness, you've been playing it a lot, but
Yeah.
it's so cute seeing you get excited when you win.
I'm beating the computer on hard now. I'm so excited.
I'm so proud.
I have to always be the first move because I can't counter. If they do the first move, I still lose. So
Well,
Yeah.
details.
and I guess Mario Maker. I've been streaming that a lot, so I've been enjoying that lately.
Yes, you've been streaming on Beefalump.
Yeah, Twitch and Facebook. Beef a lump. I don't want to plug anything, but still.
Too late, already did it.
Yeah. Normally, like, I used to only like really play that when I was streaming it to play viewer levels, but I've been finding myself like playing levels at night and stuff because it's a Mario game that never ends. So
Very true.
I playing a lot of stuff. Yeah. So that's it. Any final words before we wrap up?
Golf with your friends. That's how you
No.
build bonds.
No. Oh, Allie.
Those who golf together stay together.
Stop. All right.
Remember to practice your wide swings.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.